Alright, bro, this is going to be 1 hour of Stranger Things predictions. I'm literally going to be talking for 1 hour straight, bro. Now, all of these predictions are coming from sources. I'm not making any of these. Or actually, I might make some. But these are going to, like, all have depth and actually possibilities of happening. Like, I'm not just going to say some like, BS, like, oh, like, Lucas is gonna like defeat Vecna or something. Like, bro, come on. We're gonna be very like realistic with these theories and possibilities, and then some that like are just good theories but wouldn't happen, I'm just gonna debunk them. So let's get straight into it, bro. Before we get straight into it, like, comment, subscribe. Unfortunately, I can't continue this content literally only due to the fact that Stranger Things is ending by the end of this year, bro. So it's like, if you do subscribe for this content, I don't know what would happen after you subscribe. So I guess just like the video, bro. Yeah, just like the video, bro. I wouldn't tell you to subscribe because like Stranger Things is literally ending. So I don't know how I'm gonna make content on it anymore. But RP Stranger Things, very good show, bro. Let's get straight into these predictions. Now, the one we have here, like, cause I'm reading off of a lot that were just added together. The first one we have here is that all of this that's happening right now started from the D&D game, right? Every single thing that's happened. Remember, the main person that even made a lot of this possible, which a lot of people don't remember, is their science teacher. He literally explained the whole concepts of everything to them that got them to a next level, right? So but before that, everything that started was at their house when they were playing D&D, right? Dungeons and Dragons. A lot of people have speculated that this is all just a game of Dungeons and Dragons. Now, bro, if this were possible, this would be the worst ending of television history. Like, I don't care what show has ended before this that was worse. This would genuinely be the worst ending. And a lot of people have even said they will make a special exclusive episode called The Ending of the Duffer Brothers, bro. Because that would just be a horrible ending. The Duffer Brothers themselves have already said that they hate shows that end like this in the interview. And they would never end a show like that. So we just had to get that one out the way, bro. But let's get straight into the real predictions. Come on. Now stay with me now, okay? We all know that in Stranger Things there's no coincidence, right? We know the Upside Down is stuck in time when Will went missing November 6, 1983. But what if when Steve drove through the Upside Down portal, the gate in season 5, time itself opened? Why do I say this? They specifically showed Steve and the others running over garden gnomes, right? And like I said before, there's no coincidences. In season 1, episode 1, the morning after Will went missing, there were on the report, some kids are stealing the gnomes out of his garden again. Quote. Is that a coincidence or not? Let's dig deeper. What if Will's vision that caused the WSQK radio station power outage also caused the power outage in season 1, episode 1? Because remember, the same episode, there was a quote to say, "We're getting reports of surges and power outage all across the country." A wrinkle in time where past and present of Hawkins happen at the same time. Characters start understanding old events. Deja vu. Seeing characters in the Upside Down / present day Hawkins who aren't actually there. Remember, Billy's clone. They would need to unwind this time loop in the Upside Down and restore time. And remember, even when they were in the Upside Down, there was a big clock there. To do that, they probably need a sacrifice. Maybe Will. Will plans to stay in the Upside Down, sacrificing himself for Vecna and saving everyone else from him. Now, and this is something I agree with. I do think Will is going to be a big pawn in all of this because remember, he has been Vecna's host from the start. Vecna was right in front of him face to face. Instead of literally just killing him, he literally decides to say that like quote that he said, like something like, "You're gonna see why I choose all the children," blah blah blah, right? And then Will then literally gets powers after their encounter. Why? And then when he gets powers, he uses it to kill the demo dogs, right? Why didn't Vecna kill Will after he killed those demo dogs? And we know he didn't because we saw the trailer and literally everyone is still alive, including Will. So that's something to think about. That's some food for thought. Now, to continue on with this theory, the issue is Vecna's powers, right? He has the Eye of Vecna from D&D, allowing him to be all-seeing. So he sees everything. He even sees into the future and through dimensions. He would know Will's plan. That's facts, though. Like, this is just adding more to what I'm saying about this whole thing between him and Will, because it's like he should know that aside from L, Will is his biggest opponent, because instead of Will just deciding to be a faithful host, like Will doesn't want to willingly be the host, which literally causes issues for Vecna. So he literally can see that Will has like a plan against Vecna, and he's all seeing. So why isn't he stopping Will? But let's carry on. We know 8 and 11 are in the upside down too, right? 8 plus 11 plus 1 equals 20. Rolling a 20 defeats Vecna without a sacrifice in D&D. So the two will go to find Will so they can defeat him all together. Now, this right here, this is so deep, bro. This is like, this is literally like when you're just bored on winter break and you're just adding everything together, because, bro, reading this is literally like, it's opening my mind up that this could actually be the ending, because if the Duffer Brothers are really as deep and insightful as we think, because to be honest, there were a bit of plot holes from season 4 and 5. I feel like season 1 till 3 were perfect in plot wise. Then season 4 and 5, Loki had a lot of plot holes. So due to that reason, I feel like it's not going to be a perfect ending. I already feel like that. But this right here, what I just said about how rolling a 20 defeats Vecna, that's so crazy. 8 plus 11 equals 8 plus 11 plus 1 equals 20. And funny enough, 11 is obviously 11, and Kali, her sister, I think that's her name, is 8. Now, I don't think Will is number 1. I definitely think this whole number 1 thing has something to do with I keep forgetting who Vecna is in human form, but I think Henry, right? Henry, yeah. Henry. Bro, this is so crazy, because remember, Henry, it's not like Henry's actually evil in reality. Henry is literally just under Vecna's, like, torture. He's basically Will, if Will was never able to be saved from, being the host. So if they free Henry, he is the one. He's the key. 8 plus 11 plus 1 equals 20. That's actually so deep, bro. Rolling a 20 defeats Vecna, bro. Now, the two will go to find Will so they can they can defeat Vecna together. Meanwhile, Nancy, Jonathan, Steve, and Dustin are exploring and trying to destroy the large wall circling the upside down. Now, some people have said that this large wall is literally just an illusion created by Kali. That's why they're keeping her there. That's another thing that we might go into after this theory. But in doing so, they create a huge gravitational force of energy, opening the time loop further, or a wormhole. And remember, the scientist comes back into play here. All of a sudden, 0, 8, and 11 see 12-year-old Will Byers biking down the street. 08 shows him a Demogorgon to try and scare him off from where they were, since they were about to fight Vecna. Instead of running away from the area, he runs for home. Since 08 and 011 aren't there to help Will, Vecna takes over his mind and makes him see through the Demogorgon's eyes. And remember, we saw this happen. So this is all starting to add up. 011 and 8, and to be honest though, I don't know I feel like it would be another huge plot hole to leave, like for 08 to not be a major part of the ending of the show. Because first off, season 2 episode 7, that was the worst episode. Like it's not even a meme. Like usually when people say those takes online, like I don't agree with it. You know, like I feel like people just bandwagon on, but that genuinely was a horrible episode. That genuinely was a horrible episode, right? So for that episode to have been there and for her character to not have any use in the show would be another major plot hole. Because how are you gonna have a sister with powers who has better control of it than Elle, by the way, and she's not a part of the major, you know what I'm saying? Like that would be a major plot hole, bro. So she definitely has to be a big part of this ending here, otherwise the Duffer Brothers are in trouble again. So here it says 11 and 8 are catching up, but the two of them aren't strong enough on their own to defeat Vecna. Since Will is under his control, Vecna makes 11 open the door to Will's house, endangering 12-year-old Will. Will watches in horror through Demogorgon's eyes as 12-year-old him runs into the shed and is taken. With this, 12-year-old Will has been sacrificed, and the current version of Hawkins' time loop is done. Everyone then returns back to November 6, 1983 with 1983 with no knowledge of the future or past. The loop keeps repeating, a never-ending story. Bro, this ending would be so peak because it would be so confusing. Like, you know those shows that like are canceled? Like the show's over, the actors know it's over, everyone knows it's over, the media knows it's over, but the ending is like, it's an ending, but if it wants to come back, the show can come back. You feel what I'm saying? Like it's like they end it with like a whole or remaining possibility for the show to come back. That's literally what the vibe I'm getting here from this type of ending. Because like a never ending story is crazy. Like that would be peak but confusing, but it's like so bad that it's so good. Like it's bad for us because we're not getting you don't get the closure when those type of endings, but it's so good for the relevancy of the show because it makes the show like, I mean, this is probably going to be niche for some people, but if anyone's ever watched Power, we all know that James St. Patrick dies. Obviously he's literally shot by Tariq, but since they never showed the body and all the extra stuff, right, the show's relevancy continues on even though the show's been ended, just due to that question: is he still alive? Is he still alive? You know what I'm saying? I mean, now it's obviously he's not alive because both shows are over, but literally 10 years after the show's finished, people were still asking, is he alive? We never saw the body. You feel what I'm saying? So that's the type of like theme I'm seeing here with this type of possible ending. Let's go on to the next one. That was a really good one. Let's go to the next one. So this next one, really, I don't know if it ends, if this is a theory that really has to do with the ending, but it is a theory that is some food for, I'm going to say this a lot, but food for thought, because it's a really good possible ending. Now, the ending is saying that this is not Henry. Neither is this, in terms of who we see. I'm going to try to put the images here, but since it's such a long video, I don't know if I'm going to have the time to. But just visualize who we saw in the lab place with Elle, and then who we saw with like the blood stains on his white cloth in the vision from Max when he was too scared to go to her safe place thing. So we should all remember what I'm talking about with that representation, right? Or Vecna. Vecna's also not Henry, right? But Henry is the guy with the hat and the glasses, the nice guy. And let me explain why. So Henry already had the mind flayer in him when the Creels moved to Hawkins in 19 whatever year, you know what I mean? And when he tried to fight the mind flayer, in the end it took over him, becoming 001. Now, even this alone, let me just pause there because I'm going to continue, but this alone kind of confuses me because it's like, bro, 001 Why was he under Papa? If he's, bro, he literally became Vecna. He became this big, like, you know what I mean? He's literally one of the main villains now. Whole time he was literally under Papa, and he had to use L. Mind you, L had to break him free from Papa, and L had to literally remove the chip, the tracking chip, and then L killed him. Excuse me. So how was he under Papa? How is he even in that lab if he's literally, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's got like all these powers inside of him. Like, that's another thing we have to think about. I don't know if that's a plot hole as well, or if that's just gonna be a part of like some character development we see later on in the show. But yeah, excuse me. Becoming 001. 001 is not Henry. Rather, he's a combination of the Mind Flayer's power with Henry's unconscious mind and physical looks and characteristics. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Because remember, the Mind Flayer, like, dude, that's really smart if they do that, because, I mean, the Mind Flayer, it's such a confusing villain, because its physical form, how can, like, when I think about how Stranger Things is gonna end, like, to be honest with you, as a TV show watcher, I don't think I've ever, like, actually counted down to the days an episode will drop. I promise you. But with this whole ending of who could possibly be the main villain, Vecna's final form, Will getting powers, this probably is one of the most anticipated endings of a TV show, because there's so many possibilities for how this could end. There's so many holes in the story that could get filled. There's a lot of possibilities here, because I thought to myself, how can the Mind Flayer, as strong, as tough as it is, with the aura it has as the final villain, it wouldn't really make sense if it gets defeated. Because remember when it consumed Will, right? Literally, that's the same way that 11 would look, or 008 would look, or 001 would look, as powerful as they are, when face to face with the Mind Flayer. Because the Mind Flayer is literally like, it's, I don't want to say it's like a god, if you know what I mean. Like, bro, how can you just stop it? It's literally using dust from all angles to consume the person that's like in front of them, and it controls their mind, bro. It doesn't even have to physically like get them. It controls their mind through different things, specifically music for the most part. So literally, how could there be an ending where it gets defeated? I don't see that being a possibility. So that's another thing to think about. Like, if the Mind Flayer is really in play here in that form that we keep seeing, where it's like that big like figure eight spider type of looking thing, but it's like huge, how could that even possibly get defeated? You feel what I'm saying? Well, let's continue with this theory. So 008 is not Henry, like we just said. He's a combination of the Mind Flayer's power with Henry's unconscious mind and physical looks and characteristics. So basically like possessed by the Mind Flayer. And when L destroyed 001's body, she sent his unconscious into the hellscape. Right? Remember, we saw that happen. We did see that. Which was actually really crazy. From there, the Mind Flayer stripped 001 away until all that remained was a new 001. Which is also crazy. Vecna. And 001 now only exists in Vecna's mind. Oh, so crazy. Remember, there's no time in the Upside Down. That's another thing that like plays into every theory we think about. There's no time. There's no concept of time in the Upside Down, because time is probably the biggest thing. Like, that's what I keep saying about how this ending is so crazy for the possibilities, because we're looking at so many different things. First off, 008 has powers. We haven't seen her in a long time, so she's gonna now back in use. You know what I mean? Second off, Will now has powers, although I almost forgot to mention that. We don't even know how he has powers yet, because that's really important. Because if he only has powers when around Vecna, how does that work? If he only, you know what I'm saying? Like, how does he have powers, basically? And how does his powers not hurt him? Because remember, he literally controlled and saw where the Demogorgons were. But it's like, first, and another thing is, why is there so little amount of Demogorgons now, like compared to like other seasons, like where there's like a lot of them. Anyway, but yeah, so it's interesting. How does he have powers? How does his powers work? Then there's Elle. I know for a fact. I think one of my things is I know she's definitely gonna lose her powers, because it just wouldn't make sense for an ending where she still has them, because that just adds to what I said before of how a never-ending ending. Like, if she has powers, there's a possibility of always coming back. Obviously, the show's not gonna come back, but you get what I mean, right? Like, her losing powers is like basically saying like the end. You know what I mean? Like, or if her dying, you know what I mean? Like, someone significant has to die. That's another thing. So there's so much to consider with this ending right here. But anyway, let's continue. So where is Henry? Once 001 and Vecna, the Mind Flayer, took control. So he was here. You know, he was in that house with Holly, trapped in Vecna's mind, but creating a safe place using his own memories. Because remember, we saw him back at his house where he was so excited and he introduced Holly to. You know, remember we saw him running excited to the upstairs to his new room. Here he would gather strength to protect the minds of the Mind Flayer's next victim. Because remember, he's being nice to Holly. He's, you know, yeah, the children. Because remember, Vecna goes after the children. And children are important when it comes to any single movie. Like, I feel like any TV series or movie where it's like horror, you notice they always go for children, right? Honestly, I know why. I feel like in a deeper in a deeper consensus, I know why. But like they never really explain the reason why in TV shows. I feel like it's just mainly the idea that like if you control the child's mind, it's just the same way like how people say like, oh, our kids are the future, you know, because it's like if every kid from now today on were to become a criminal, then the future is cooked. If every adult was to become a criminal, but kids were like, no, I'm gonna have a bright education and, you know, be a good kid, then I mean nothing really changes, because the future is the kids, because they're the next generation of adults. You know, the adults who are the adults today, they've already passed. You feel what I'm saying? So I feel like that's why Vecna is going after the kids, right? And he mentioned, and the reason I bring this up is because he literally does mention this to Will. Like, that's the only time he spoke face to face to any of the characters, really. And he chooses to say that, you know, you're going to see why I'm going after the kids. You feel what I'm saying? So I feel like it's important to remember this. Holly went missing. 3 other children went missing. It's important to remember he's literally going after kids. He hasn't gone after Joyce. He hasn't gone after Hopper. He hasn't gone after anyone that's actually of like, you know, adult age. He's literally just going after kids. So it's important to the plot. You know what I mean? It would be really a huge plot hole if the ending has nothing to do with these kids that are in mention that he's going after. You feel what I'm saying? So that's a big thing as well. So even Will saw into Vecna's lair, you know, when he was seeing things, and Holly was in the exact same way Will was. You know how she had like her mouth was trapped by like the tube thing, the same way Will was in season 1 when he was captured, and then you know, Hopper and Joyce got him out. Which another thing is so crazy to think about, because it's like so much led to one another in such a realistic like domino of events. Because it's like if 11 hadn't come to their house at the time, if, you know, if Joyce never was talking to Bob, if Bob never, because remember Bob almost didn't believe him and literally was telling him like to just say go away to his monsters, right? If Bob never found out what the drawings meant, if the science teacher wasn't involved, if Dustin wasn't a nerd, all of these things, bro, like literally if just one of them hadn't happened, the show doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? So every little thing is genuinely important. You know what I mean? So you have to actually look at things, because if you're on this video, you obviously care about the ending. Like, you know, this show is actually something to be invested in. So, like, all these little things are important to note down. You know what I mean? Like, when it comes to, like, looking at the ending here. Now, back to what I was saying. Where were they? Where were their minds? Holly is with Henry. So where are the others? Yeah, that's so facts. Where are the other 3 kids that got taken? When we see this happen to Will, his mind didn't go anywhere either. He was just stuck there. Right? Perhaps Henry was unable to protect Will's mind from the mind flayer like he has with Holly. Possible. Very possible. And perhaps that happened with these other children as well. Right? Perhaps he was only strong enough to save Holly's mind. But then you might be thinking, what about Max and 001? Because remember, 001 is here as well. Remember, Max literally ran away from 001. Where does 001 exist now? Because remember, 001 is obviously, like I said, killed by L. I mean, 001 exists, but in Vecna's mind, which is where they are. Which could mean that 001 and Henry are fighting each other. Because remember, the whole theme of this, and I love that they added this to the show, because it's like, it's such a recurring theme in any TV show, bro. Any TV show where, like, their mind gets taken over. And one of my favorite TV shows, Lab Rats, where Chase, his mind gets taken over by, what's it called? Like, it was just like, it was like basically like the bad side of their chip, and it makes them like think bad stuff, like basically go bad, right? And then Leo starts telling him, oh, you remember when we got ice cream? Remember when we did this? And then he starts to snap out of it, and they do the same. That's such a recurring theme in every single TV show. So that's really important. I feel like it's going to be important here, because this is kind of a fight in the inward self of Vecna or Henry or whoever. Like the 3 of them. Because they're kind of like a 3-in-1 identity now. You know, because Henry and 001 are fighting each other inside of Vecna's mind. Whoever wins that fight, I don't know if they're going to go this deep with the writing, with only, like, what, is it 4 episodes left? Is it 8 episodes? Yeah, I think it's 8 episodes. With literally 4 episodes left, I don't know if they're going to go this deep with the writing, but whoever wins that fight within, like, the inward self, within the mind, between, because the mind is obviously the biggest theme here, mind, time, all that stuff, right? Whoever wins this fight, bro, literally determines where Vecna as a character goes. If Henry wins this fight, then we're gonna see Vecna a whole Vecna redemption arc, which changes the whole plot. Because remember, like I keep saying, Vecna only exists because of the Mind Flayer, and the Mind Flayer took over Henry's mind. So the whole bigger thing here is the Mind Flayer. You know what I mean? So it's not really Vecna. Vecna is just more of a pawn who's using other pawns to help the final mission that the Mind Flayer has, which is to control everyone's mind. Why? We don't know. Because who knows, in every movie they say the same thing. Oh, we want to make the Earth better. You know, the Earth is corrupted. We want to control it. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same type of villain line, but it's like, that's basically their end all, right? So if we do see this, that's another possible plot. You know, a lot of people have hinted at this too. Like, there could be a Vecna. Remember, Will's only line when talking, Noah, who plays Will, his only line when talking about the show's ending was that we're gonna see that Vecna is low-key misunderstood. That's low-key crazy to say. Like, a villain being misunderstood. I feel like even as misunderstood as like people like the Joker, Thanos, you know, stuff like those type of villains were, they're not misunderstood like to the point where it's like we're gonna sympathize with them. But the way he said like he's misunderstood, it's almost as if he's gonna have a redemption arc. I'm not trying to look too deep into that because it's just one line, but I don't know, bro. The fact that he didn't kill Will, the fact that they literally all survived, like, bro, that encounter in episode 4, bro, could be enough for a final scene, like realistically, because how is Vecna going to be face to face with them, throw all of them around, and not kill them? First off, I don't know why he didn't kill them. Doesn't kill Will, who literally uses his powers to defeat the Demogorgons that are about to kill Mike and and the other people, right? And like Robin and can't remember, but doesn't kill them. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, that was enough to be the ending, but it wasn't. So there is a possibility for a whole like Vecna redemption arc, blah blah blah. Henry wins in the mine. Honestly, I don't know if I would want to see that. Comment down below if you want to see that, bro. Honestly, I don't know if I want to see that, bro. Loki, like, I don't know. I feel like Vecna, he's only been around for 2 seasons, right? Because we had the like mini meat flayer in season 3, which is literally my favorite season of all time. Like, I could rewatch it today. It's so peak, bro. Like, I love the little plots inside of that season with Billy being like racist and stuff, and like just a mean brother, and then trying to go out with uh, Karen, and then him getting taken over, which is like not even expected, and then obviously they have to fight the meat flayer, and then obviously Hopper doesn't even let L go out. I don't know if I'm confusing it, but you know what I'm saying. Like, there were so many plots, which are like why I feel like season 3 was such a favorite, right? But it's important to remember the meat flayer, because that was literally like an undefeatable thing at the time, because we thought that it was going to end there. And all of a sudden Vecna is introduced, who apparently has been there since the start, when Will was taken. You know what I mean? Because obviously the Demogorgons can't do that. So apparently he's the one who took Will, which is interesting, because why did we never see him? So it would be really, I don't know, I wouldn't really I wouldn't be opposed completely to the ending where he has a redemption arc, but I just wouldn't like, I just have no desire to see it. I won't lie. Like, I feel like a lot of people can agree. Like, I just would rather see something like heroic from the main characters. I'd literally rather see Steve of all people, or even Lucas, or even Dustin, like, defeat the final villain. You know, like, I'd literally rather see that, as bad as that would be, than a whole like, oh, Vecna, you know, teams up with L. Like, I just can't even imagine that, bro. Like, just imagine Batman and Joker teaming up. Like, I just couldn't imagine that, bro. Like, just no. Like, yes, he can have a redemption arc, and we can see him go back to 001, but I don't know if I'd want him to see him be the victor in the whole series. Like, that would just feel so bad. You know what I mean? Like, but anyways, that's a possibility, because Henry is still in the mind. Henry is who is keeping Max safe in that cave by using fear to stop 001, which is really interesting. Really interesting, because why is 001 even afraid of Henry? Now, you might be thinking, no, Henry is tricking the kids into thinking he's protecting them, right? But if his goal was to trick them into trusting them, why choose the clothing he did? You know what I mean? He's literally wearing something from his time. If he was trying to get them to trust him, wouldn't it make more sense to wear something from their time? Totally true, bro. And I feel like, although like sometimes you can't look too deep into things because it's just there, but I feel like this is a show where majority of things, other than the plot holes obviously, majority of things have made sense, even the littlest things, bro. Like, you know, even season 4 episode 7, like, remember how much years Stranger Things have been going on for, so it makes sense why people hated it, because it's like, bro, that was in like what, season 2, I think that was 2019 or 18, can't remember, but it's a long time ago, right? And we never saw her again until now, 2025. So, dude, everything makes sense. You know, everything like adds up in the show for the most part. So yeah, I feel like that's actually a good insight. Why would he wear clothes from his time to get them to trust? It just wouldn't even make sense. I don't think he would need to trick them. Like, I don't see why they would make like a whole trinity of Vecna, Henry 001, and then Vecna himself. I just don't see why they would do that. The idea of Henry versus 001 in Vecna's mind actually makes a lot of sense. Because remember, like, Henry still exists, and technically he still exists. He never had, like, he was took over. His mind was took over, which is what created 001. But he never, like, died. It's not like he died, right? So it does actually make sense. Because if Holly's mind was taken by Vecna, wouldn't it make sense for him to be in control? Why would he let her and Max meet? Why would he let Holly discover the truth? That's super facts there as well, bro. Super facts. Because he could have just made it like the Truman Show, like a whole illusion, you know? Make the whole place like how he wants it, so she can think how he wants. Because remember, everything is about mind control. So that's super facts there, too. And it's just simply because he isn't Vecna, he is Henry. Now, like I said, this theory right here that I just read, it's basically that Henry is stuck too. And it makes sense. It honestly doesn't really tell us much about a prediction towards the ending, but the theory itself makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. Mind you, I've been talking for 22 minutes straight, no cuts, bro. Please like this video. The theory makes a lot of sense. We're about to get to the next one. Okay, bro, so we have now the next, like, theory slash idea slash concept, and I think this one is going to be one that I favor a lot. So far, everything I've used in this video, though, has been pretty much actually a possibility of happening, or at least tying into the show's ending, which I think is really useful. I hope that after this video, like, after you watch this video, and I hope you find it before the 25th, bro, and even if you find it after, I hope you watch it before you watch the ending, because I really would love it if after the ending people come back to this video and they're just like, yo, like, it's crazy how some of these happen, even though they're not all my predictions, but I do agree with them. That's why I'm putting them in the video. So yeah, this next one is really about time travel. I feel like time travel is definitely going to be a concept. Definitely, like, that's not even a question, bro. In this ending. Now, in episode 7, it's called The Bridge, right? And Ross Duffer, one of the Duffer brothers, which is, like, you know, the writers of the show, said aside from the finale, it's probably the most emotional chapter of the season. Really, really interesting, because we've already had 4, like, deep episodes. Mind you, Max pretty much died. Like, obviously she's not dead, she's, like, still in the upside or whatever, like, it's still in Thing's mind, right? But she pretty much, let's be real, died. We saw the sorry if I'm missing the names, because I literally just rewatched about 2 weeks ago, but it's obviously slipped my mind. But we saw Jason, the bully. He died so brutally. Oh my goodness. Obviously Eddie died. So we've seen deaths in this series over the past 4 episodes and over season 4. We've seen character changes, because before Max even died, apparently she had broke up with Lucas. You know, that was another jump that wasn't really explained too much, actually, when I rewatched it, because I was like, wait a second, what even happened? Because at the end of season 3, I believe, or was it the start of season 4, but either one, they were literally happy together, like, during that whole moving thing towards the end, like, the end. And then it just jumps to, obviously I know because Billy's death and stuff, but, like, the jump was so weird, because she made it, like, seem like she, and Lucas was kind of begging for her back, and it made it seem like something had happened in that missed time, but nothing had happened. So that was definitely a plot hole, but to, you know, not really relevant to the ending, but I just wanted to add that in there. Same thing with Dustin, though. I know he lost his friend Eddie, but he kind of is doing the whole, like, emo thing. He's hating Steve, and I don't know if that character development is going to have a play into, like, how we see this ending, because in the trailer, though, they did say to each other, if you die, I die. So it's like, what was the whole point of the beefing for the 4 episodes? I know it has to, like, he has to more in his character and stuff, but he kind of takes down on Steve, of all people, who literally, like, was, the show's best duo for the most part, and it's kind of surprising. I mean, I know it's like, also, who else would he take it out on? Because the group hasn't really been close, so that's probably a more character developing, idea there. But I don't know, just some food for thought again. A phrase I'm going to continue to use towards the video. Now we're 40 minutes in, bro. I can't believe I've actually been speaking 40 minutes straight about Stranger Things theories, bro. And so far, they're so good. So let's continue this one, though. Sorry for the yap. Time travel. Time travel theory confirmed, bro. Right? And this is confirmed by Russ Duffer, one of the Duffer brothers. Right? And it's unironically or ironically called The Bridge. That episode that they were referring to as going to be, aside from the finale, the most emotional, right? Oh yeah, sorry. I was mentioning the other stuff to mention that we've seen a lot of emotional episodes, especially even Will getting powers, all the deaths. Yes, that's why I mentioned that. So yes, he said that this episode will be more emotional than all those episodes aside from the finale. So, that's something to think about, and it's called The Bridge, right? So this pretty much confirms that, like, remember, this is all in quote, but this pretty much confirms the time travel theory. Just due to the fact that, and it also tells us what Vecna's about to do with these 12 kids. Remember, he still has the 12 kids he took, right? And time has been mentioned a lot in Stranger Things. From Max going back in time to November 6th, to Vecna's clock, and the wrinkle in time, and Back to the Future references. Those Back to the Future references are actually really important to think about as well. Because, bro, in Fortnite, I literally was trying to play as Nancy, and in the item shop, there's Back to the Future. Why was it in the item shop over Stranger Things? Because that has to mean something, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, might be a huge reach, but that definitely has to mean something. And we do know that the wall in the Upside Down, right, is actually a circle that represents a clock. And this is why Vecna needs 12 kids. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You have to look up the Broadway play, The First Shadow, if you haven't already. But what we find out from that is that the kids at Hawkins lab got their powers from a blood transfusion. Oh yes, sorry that I'm reading like I can't read. This video is going very slow, and then it's also going very fast. But yes, this is very important. I feel like no one talks about this, but there was like this Broadway show of like a live play thing of Stranger Things. Bro, this literally broke the video down, the series down, and like it dropped so much lore that Loki was never explained in the show itself. Like, yeah, if you watch theory videos, maybe you can find the explanation, but for the most part, that like live action play literally dropped so much unspoken lore that we've all wanted to know, which is super crazy. But yeah, apparently, according to the Broadway, it shows that they got their power from a blood transfusion from Henry that got his powers from the Mind Flayer in Dimension X. And that blood transfusion gives you weaker powers than getting it straight from the source. That's why Elle had to learn how to use her powers. But Will had Vecna's powers right away. Ooh. Think about that. Elle had to learn how to use her powers. She was trained in a lab. But Will got his powers straight away. Like, look how easy it was for Will, bro. Well, I feel like we don't even talk about that. Like, yeah, it was aura, it was this, it was that. But, bro, the fact he knew exactly how to do it, he killed 3 demo dogs, literally, with no prior training, nothing like that, bro. The 12 kids that Vecna took are going to be just as powerful as Will. Yes, that's facts. Because it's going to be straight from the source. That's facts. So in hindsight, without even letting this theory finish, I think like we're gonna see these 12 children fighting against L, etc., etc. Like we're gonna see them fighting against like the group. You know what I mean? And he's gonna use them to create a tesseract. A tesseract is a method of time travel through space and time by using the fifth dimension to create a wrinkle in time that shortens the distance between 2 points. It's a wormhole, like the wormhole that Mr. Clark, the science teacher that I keep bringing up. Thank you. His name is Mr. Clark. Yes, Mr. Clark is such an underrated. Like, if you watch a theory video and they don't mention Mr. Clark, I feel like that's not valid because Mr. Clark, bro, his theory is the only reason why this show is where it's at the point it's at. Mr. Clark literally, everything he said, I promise you, in some way or another, everything he has said will be used in the finale. I promise you that. If nothing from this video is true, just remember, everything that Mr. Clark has said or is saying will be used in the finale for sure. Now, remember that he's teaching about this time wrinkle or wormhole or whatever in his class at the Einstein, the bridge and all that stuff. And it happens to look exactly similar to the drawing that Will makes, right? In the brain of Vecna, where the kids are being incubated. So we now know that the kids are going to have Vecna's powers. And he needs 12 of them because there's 12 positions on the clock. And 12 positions will activate the Tesseract, the wormhole, the bridge. And the bridge is how the Mind Flayer will travel from Dimension X to the Upside Down and then easily into the real world. Thus the title, The Bridge of Episode 7. And Vecna saying that it's over and they already lost. The Mind Flayer is coming at the end of Volume 2. It's gonna be devastating. Some end of the world, like, and it's gonna leave them with no other option but to travel back in time to reverse it. But what that also means is that if they go far back enough to where Henry never goes into that cave, that could mean the Hawkins lab is never created. And Elle never gets her powers or even exists. And some of the main characters never meet each other. But some of them would come back. So the question is, would you rather have a tragic ending like this or one that basically resets the entire universe? Or would you rather have a tragic ending like where they all die or stuff, or one that resets the entire universe? Like, honestly, someone just commented that this would be the worst ending ever, and I'm not gonna lie, this would be the worst ending because for the type of show it is, like, just the way that Stranger Things is and the way that everything's happened, like, I'm gonna be real, and the reason why, like, people, like, bro, when I used to watch Stranger Things, like, before, like, when I just watched it to watch it, I was like, bro, this show is mad scary, blah, 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 right? But then when you watch, and a lot of people that, like, don't really understand the base of the show say it as well, but then when you actually watch it and you understand the dynamics between the characters, you realize, like, how much deeper the show is. Like, I'm not even trying to glaze the show, bro, but it's just facts. Like, without the character dynamics, like, if they were just fighting some sort of monster, bro, like, I feel like the show would just be so bland. But the character dynamics make it so peak. Like, Steve literally being like their mom as the joke, you know, their babysitter, and his character arc. Mind you, I don't even think he had character arc. I feel like he was always good. Like, he had a bad moment, right? But anyway, that's for another video, bro. And then just the whole arcs between, like, even Mike and Elle, Max and Elle too, bro, because remember, Elle hated Max because she thought that Mike liked Max, so that's another thing. Then even Will, like, you know, he has feelings for Mike now. That's another character arc. Jonathan, I mean, he had a character arc and then they kind of destroyed it. And then, bro, I could just go on. Like, you know, there's character arcs in the show that just make the show what it is, bro. And for them to do, like, a whole reset where they never meet each other, would literally just be like, bro, it would be good writing. I can't lie, like it would be good writing, but it would make me be like, bro, no way. I just like why did I watch the show? You know what I mean? And that's what someone commented as well. It just made them feel like they wasted 10 years, and I agree for sure. You know, like it just wouldn't make sense for them to end it off like this. But it's definitely a possibility. You feel what I'm saying? Like it's definitely a possibility. Okay, I saved the best for last. I'm gonna really hope you watch till. If you watch till this point of the video, you're actually a real one. You're not even just a real Stranger Things fan, but you must have clearly enjoyed these theories, and I appreciate that. Comment number 17 if you watched this far. But what if Will Byers took Eleven's place in the very first episode of Stranger Things? What if it was never meant to be Will? Because one of the biggest questions we have in Stranger Things is why Will? Why was it that the very first episode of Stranger Things, Will gets taken? Why Will? Like literally, why Will? Genuinely, what was the benefit of it being Will? And it clearly has to be a reason because nothing happens on accident, right? And what if it was never meant to be him? What if it was a replacement for 11? In the very first episode of Stranger Things, we get a sequence where Will basically is biking home and he sees a Demogorgon on the road. And he goes home, hides in his house, and the lock on his house slides open. We know, Duffer's confirmed, that Demogorgons don't have telepathic or psychic abilities, right? They can't do that. They can't open the deadbolt to the house. So someone else must have. Now, a lot of people have said it's probably Vecna, but what if it was 11 instead? I believe that after 11 gets out of Hawkins' lab, we know she breaks out, right? She crawls through the tunnel, she hides in the buyer's shed, right? And there's a couple things that point to this, right? Now, when Will went to go to the shed, the light's already on. His mom's not home, Jonathan's not home. Who turned on the light, right? Maybe 11. We know Demodogs go after blood, right? But why go after Will if he wasn't bleeding? They chased him to his house where the lock on the door opens. We're not saying it's not Vecna, right? But we think the person who opened the door was 11, right? So 11 probably sees Will get home. She opens the door so the Demogorgon can get Will while she runs away. And remember, she's on survival mode. And remember the fact that she already knew who Will was, like when they pointed out to Will in the picture, right? And it makes sense because she's literally running from it to like take someone down and defend herself, right? Because if she opens the door, she can get away. So she literally opens it so it can go after Will, and she runs. And remember, she just mysteriously knows what Will looks like. Like, that's never explained, literally. How does she know? How does she know? She shouldn't have known what Will looks like. Like, I feel like this detail goes unnoticed, right? But as the series progressed, we know her abilities. How does she know? There's no reason why she would have known what Will looks like, right? Like, maybe she saw Will when Will got back to his house, when she was hiding in his shed. Will goes out of the shed. He has a gun. We see the light flare. And I think that's when it was supposed to be 11 in that shed. She baited Vecna. We know the Demogorgon spots Eleven, thinks Eleven's going in there. When she opens the door that gives her an exit, an opportunity to run into the shed while she runs away from the shed. She basically switched their places so they get Will instead. Now, even if it was after 11, why did they stop? Like, why was it just Will? They're very different people. I think it was a part of it for Eleven's psychic ability. You know what I mean? Like, why would they get Will? Bro, this theory literally explains why Will gets powers. Like, I wish I had made this video with this theory right before we saw that Will obviously got powers, but it explains so much why. Because now that he got Will and Will got powers, he doesn't need 11 anymore, and it explains why he stops chasing 11. It explains why it was supposed to be 11, but somehow in the process of taking him to the Dimension X or whatever, he gains powers. Vecna now no longer needs 11 because he has Will, and it explains why the random kid was literally the one that they chased after, and why they got him. You know what I mean? Like, there was literally no reason to get Will, bro. Like, rewatch the show how many times? I've already rewatched it. There's no reason why they chose Will. Why couldn't they choose Lucas, Mike, Dustin? You know what I'm saying? Like, even Steve, even, you know what I mean? Like, there is no reason why they got Will of all of them, right? There was a reason for 11 because 11 was in the way. And remember when the Mind Flayer was the Meat Flayer, the Meat Flayer literally specifically says that they're trying to kill 11 because 11's in the way of the plan, right? So there's a motive for that, obviously, but there's no reason for them to get Will. You know what I mean? And it explains why so many times they literally like confused 11 for a boy. This boy broke into my kitchen. You know what I mean? Why do they keep comparing 11 to a boy? Like every single time. You know what I mean? And it ties back to all the times 11 said, I felt like a monster all along. I was the monster all along, right? It explains why Will has no memory of this. Like, he literally doesn't even remember it. But I feel like Vecna, who took Will from the shed, right? But after that, he was literally just in the Upside Down. So there's no way you were able to run from Vecna and the Upside Down from a week, bro. Like, no way. Will gets taken, he gets powers, he lets out some kind of power, and Vecna, you know what I mean? Like, he sees the potential in Will. That's why Will wasn't killed, bro. And I've been saying this throughout the video. I said this in my last video. There's use for Will. Like, we're gonna see that in this ending here. There's gonna be use for Will. And that's it for the theories, bro. We're just gonna wait now until the ending. I hope that, like I said, I hope people come back to this video and it's more of like, dang, you were right. But I'd actually love it even more if these are all completely off, because then it's like, dang, that's even more peak because we're all caught off guard. But we're gonna see, bro. These are all the theories. Make sure you drop a like. Subscribe if you want to, but like I said, it's not like I'm gonna like be making videos similar to this because the show's over. But subscribing would be much appreciated.